In this video, I'll be answering a question asked by someone. This question says, in layman's language, can you define B1, B2, T1 and T2 bars and how their placement occur over the slab? So, T1, T2, B1, T2 are just a connotation given to the reinforcement in a slab. So in a slab, there are 4 different layers of reinforcement. So those reinforcements are the ones that are giving those names. So I'll just explain it in this video and use a structural drawing to explain how these reinforcements are being arranged. So the B1 can also be called BB, that is bottom reinforcement. The bottommost reinforcement in a slab is called the B1 or the BB, that is bottom. Now then we go to the B2. The B2 is the reinforcement on the B1. Now the B2 can also be called bottom top. That is, you can call it B2 or BT. That is bottom top. That is the reinforcement on the top of the B1. Now this reinforcement is a distribution bar in a one-way slab. But in a two-way slab, it is a member, that is the B1 and the B2 are member in a two-way slab. Then we go to the T1. The T1 can also be called top reinforcement, that is TT. It is the toppermost reinforcement in the slab. The reinforcement are run over the beam, over the reinforcement of the beam from one panel of a slab to the other panel of a slab. That is the T1 of the reinforcement. That's the T1. Then we have the T2. The T2 can also be called the top bottom. That is TB. You can call it TB, T2, or top bottom. Is the reinforcement is a distribution bar that distribute the T1. It is always at the bottom of the T1. Now let me explain this in a structural drawing. So I'll be using this drawing to explain what I just said, to explain what these 4 layers of reinforcement means. So I'll be using this layout. This is the first floor layout drawing. So I'll be using this part. Just pick a panel. I'll pick the panel between the grid line 2 to 3 and grid line A to C. So from here, before you can arrange the reinforcement in a slab, you need to ask yourself, where is the longer span and where is the shorter span? That's the longer side and the shorter side. So from this, the shorter side is the one that have the short beam and the longer side is the one that have the long beam. So the reinforcement is always arranged firstly across the shorter span. So let's go to the first floor slab detail. So from the first floor slab detail, you can see the reinforcement is arranged across the shorter span first.